All right, let's dive into an idea that is so fundamental, it's pretty much everywhere. In the air you're breathing, the music you're listening to, the phone in your hand. We're talking about the unseen but incredibly powerful force of filters. So what on earth could sifting flour for a cake possibly have in common with getting a crystal clear phone call? Well, believe it or not, the answer is a simple but profound concept: the filter. In both cases, the goal is exactly the same. It's all about separation, keeping what you want and getting rid of what you don't.
So let's just break this whole thing down. We're going to start at the very beginning and look at this core idea of filtering in a way that I think is going to make perfect intuitive sense.
At its heart, this is all a filter really is. You can think of it like a gatekeeper. It has one job, and one job only: let the right stuff through and keep the wrong stuff out. It's really that simple, and it doesn't matter if we're talking about physical things or completely invisible waves.
Okay, let's look at a classic example. A camera filter. Light is made up of a whole spectrum of different colors. A red filter, well, it works by blocking all those other colors and only letting the red light pass through to the camera lens. It's separating one piece of the light from all the rest. Now let's jump from light to something you can actually feel: physical particles. Think about your car's engine. The oil filter is doing the exact same thing. Its job is to let that clean oil flow through while trapping all the tiny, damaging bits of grit and metal. You want the oil, you definitely don't want the grit. Simple.
And we do this in our homes too. An air purifier, it's really just a big, sophisticated filter. It sucks in the air from your room, traps all the nasty stuff like dust and pollen, and then pushes out clean, filtered air. The principle is 100% identical.
And this example really just shows how universal this whole idea is. A simple face mask is literally a filter that we wear. It's designed to let the air pass through, obviously, while blocking larger airborne particles. It's that same core idea again and again. Let this in, keep that out.
Okay, so we've got the physical world down. Coffee filters, water filters, car filters, we get it. But what happens when the stuff you're trying to separate is completely invisible? Let's take this exact same idea and see how it applies to the world of electronic signals. Right. In the world of electronics, our enemy has a name: noise. Just look at this chaotic red line. Noise is basically the electronic version of static on an old radio, or that snow on a TV screen from back in the day. It's just random, unwanted energy that gets mixed in with the signal you actually care about, and it totally messes it up.
And this brings us right to the core mission of electronic filters. As the folks at the University of Columbia's physics department put it so well, their purpose is to remove unwanted noise signals. So the big question is, how in the world do they do that? This chart gives us the language we need. See that high, flat part of the graph? That's called the passband. That's the good stuff, the range of signals the filter lets right through. It's like the fine flour falling through the sifter. Then you see how the graph just drops off? That's the stop band. That's the range of signals the filter blocks. Those are the unwanted clumps left behind. Passband is what you want. Stop band is what you don't. But here's the thing. Not all noise is created equal. Sometimes it's a high-pitched hiss, other times it's a low, deep hum. So you can't just have one filter for everything. You need different tools for different jobs. And engineers have a basic toolkit of 4 main types of electronic filters to get the job done. And here they are, the big 4. Let's do a quick tour. First up, the low-pass filter. Think of it like a bouncer at a club who only lets in the deep, low bass sounds and kicks out all the high-pitched stuff. Perfect for getting rid of hiss. Next to it, you've got the high-pass filter. It does the exact opposite. It blocks that low-frequency rumble, like the hum from a power line, but lets all the higher sounds sail right on through. Then there's the bandpass filter. This one is a real specialist. It's like tuning an old radio dial. It picks one very specific slice of signal to let through and just rejects everything else above or below it. And finally, the notch filter. This is like a surgical tool. It does the reverse of the bandpass. It finds one very specific, annoying frequency and just cuts it out, leaving everything else untouched.
So we know what they do, but how do these circuits actually work? How do they know what to block and what to let through? Let's take a quick peek under the hood at the really clever physics that makes it all possible.
A lot of it comes down to this key idea called reactance. There's a component called an inductor, and it has this totally fascinating property. It just hates change. High-frequency signals, by their nature, change direction super fast. The inductor sees that, fights back, and blocks them. But low-frequency signals, They're much slower, kind of lazy, so the inductor just lets them pass on through with much less of a fight.
And this graph shows that relationship perfectly. It's so simple. As the signal's frequency, that's the line on the bottom, goes up, the inductor's blocking power, its reactance, goes up in a perfect straight line with it. The higher the frequency, the more it blocks. This one natural property is the secret sauce behind a lot of basic filters.
But, of course, there was a catch. In the real world, those physical inductor components are often big, they're heavy, they're expensive, and they can get messed up by magnetic interference. The older style of LC filters really struggled with this. So engineers knew they needed a better way.
And the breakthrough was something called the active filter. This is where things get really clever. Instead of using a real, clunky physical inductor, engineers figured out how to use tiny, cheap, and super reliable integrated circuits called op-amps. They could wire these things up to behave exactly like an inductor, giving you all the awesome filtering power but with none of the physical problems. This innovation was a total game changer. It paved the way for the smaller, more powerful, and cheaper electronics we all have today.
So we've gone from sifting flour in the kitchen to mimicking physics with tiny circuits. Now let's bring it all back home and see why these little unsung heroes are absolutely essential to pretty much everything you do every day.
Seriously, think about it. Every single time you listen to crisp, clear music, that's because filters have stripped out all the unwanted noise. When your Wi-Fi signal is strong and stable, that's filters zeroing in on just the right frequency. Medical devices like ECGs, they would be useless without filters to get rid of all the electrical noise in a room so they can see the tiny signal from a human heart. Even the power coming from your wall is filtered. They are everywhere, just silently making our modern world work.
So, when you boil it all down, that simple idea of separating what we want from what we don't is more important now than it has ever been. We started with physical stuff, we moved to invisible signals, and now, well, we live in an age of information overload. The ability to filter the true, meaningful signal from all the noise surrounding it has never been more vital. Which kind of leaves us with one last thought: what will we need to filter out next?